changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life, and I won't look back ever again.
Hello and welcome back to Stitch and Witch. I'm your host, Hikari Rose, and today we will be talking about finishing touches to add to take your costume to the next level. Now, these are just a few ideas of things to add to your costumes. Some of these are very optional, but I wanted to go over these to help give you ideas. With that in mind, let's get started. So, let's start with the obvious one, wigs. Now, depending on which character, some wigs are pretty straightforward, and you can basically use them straight out of the bag. But some characters have minor feats of engineering for hair. For simpler wigs, gathering the wig into spikes using heating and affixing it with either hairspray or glue might be enough. For more intense wigs, you might need structure under those spikes, so maybe something made out of something like stiff felt or something else lightweight would work. Some characters can have visible roots, and to achieve that, buy a wig in the lightest color needed. Then, if the roots are darker, use a Copic style marker, part the wig weft by weft. Those are the lines of hair in the wig, and color it in. Keep going until you've got the whole head done. If the roots are the lighter part, you want to paint on an alcohol-based ink or dip it into red dye and washing it out the excess. If you want more information on wigs from styling to wig care, Art of Wigs has a lot of helpful tutorials. Another fun addition is colored contact. These come in either iris-sized lenses, so they just color the colored part of your eye, or the scalera-sized lenses, where they cover your whole eye, so the whites of your eye and the iris. They also come in a variety of colors, sometimes with designs on the lenses, like magic circles, in order to closely match various characters. Lenses can also come with a prescription in them if you need them. Sometimes if you ask your vision specialist, you might actually be able to get your colored contacts through them and covered by your insurance, which is how I got a bunch of mine. But there are other sites with a lot of options like Pinky Paradise or Gothica, so have fun shopping. Next, and I'll only touch on this lightly, as I'm sure that makeup is something you were already most likely planning on using. But even on characters who aren't obviously wearing it, it can help your eyes look a little bit bigger for a more anime look, and for anyone doing crossplay, makeup can help with selling that particular illusion. If you want ideas, I definitely look at various tutorials online. There's a lot of very skilled makeup artists who have already broken down how to work that out. Next detail I want to bring up is jewelry. Some characters have strong symbolic meaning in their jewelry, and others have them just because they look cool. Now, like with a lot of other things we've talked about, sometimes you'll get lucky and find the perfect thing ready to go right off the shelf. Others need a little more help getting there, or will simply need to be made from scratch. Craft stores have a large jewelry making section where you can find chains, earrings posts, and hooks, and tools like pliers, all good starting points for making jewelry. However, sometimes you need something in a unique shape or design, or modifying would just be harder than starting from scratch. Using the same kind of materials and techniques that we talked about back in the armor making episode, craft foam, styrofoam, even thermoplastic are all good options. The main concern for earrings is to keep them as light as possible. So that's all the wearable touches. So now let's talk about what you carry with you. Props. They can range from a small handheld fireball to a giant weapon like a sword or a keyblade or a bow or a scythe that's also a gun. After all, for some characters, the weapon is as much a part of them as their clothes. Now, I could do a whole series talking through how to make each type of weapon, but for now, this is about what works for a large number of props. For swords, to staffs, and even most guns, a good starting point is PVC pipe, as it's easy to cut. It can be shaped with a heat gun, which is helpful for really curvy blades. Wooden dowels are also a good option since they come in narrower widths, which is better for thinner blades. Once you choose a core, start building out with EVA foam to get the right shape, like we talked about with the armor last episode. Once you've cut, carved, engraved, and added all the little details you want, you're going to want to use the plasti dip on it, since props get even more wear than armor, and then once you have it primed, paint it. This is a beginner-friendly approach that will get you pretty far, but there are more ways to do things. This is a beginner-friendly approach that'll get you pretty far, but there are more ways to do things. If you have the money, or you have a friend who has the money and can be bribed, then 3D printing is an option you can explore. It can be good for very detailed builds or small, intricate props like the Eye of Agamotto from Doctor Strange. The eye also brings up one last detail that can elevate a costume: lights. Now, you can use battery-powered lights right out of the package. No wiring know-how required. If you can wire circuits, knock yourself out. No matter which approach you take, here are a couple considerations to keep in mind when working with lights. First, you have to figure out where you're going to hide the battery pack. And second, how are you going to diffuse the light? Translucent foam, colored gels, frosting the inside of its area. All of these can get you a variety of effects with just plain white lights. Again, if you're curious, there are people who've gone way more in depth than what I could get to today. I'll link a couple of my favorites down below. That's all I have time for today. Next time, I'm going to give you an in-depth look for how I create my cosplays and how I went about creating my most complicated cosplay to date, Memento Mori. So, keep on stitching, and I'll see you next time.
And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal.